Welcome back. In this episode, we're going to add the functionality to our game to keep track of the score and display it. So we're inside of our game class now, and all we need to do first is add a private integer data member called score. Now we need to look into our 4 push functions, up, down, left, and right, and make sure we add the score at the right place. I should have documented this a little bit, but the part where we replace a position on the game board with a 0 and take the position above it in this case and multiply it by 2 is the case when it's combining 2 numbers. So the new value at game board, in this case capital X lowercase y, will just have been multiplied by 2. We want to add that new number to the total score. So score plus equal game board capital X lowercase y. This is for the push up function. If we go to push down, at the very end of that one, we'll do the same thing when we push down. Score will plus equal that new number. Similar thing for push left. Score plus equals game board X and capital Y. And finally for push right. Sorry, I'm doing that wrong. Score equals game board X and capital Y. These statements should make sure that the score is always being incremented when we combine numbers. The next thing we need to do is make sure that our interface displays the new score. So to do that, I will provide a getScore method, just like we have a get method for the game board itself and the state of the game. Public int getScore, and all this needs to do is return the score. Here in the GUI class, if we scroll down to where we set things on our north panel, we added a temporary score label here. However, if we want the JLabel to be able to be updated, we need to store it as its own reference. So up in here where we have all of our data, we're going to add a new variable, a JLabel score label. And back down here, we'll copy all this new JLabel constructor and say score label equals all that. And then we'll add score label to north panel. So if this works the way that I think it does, score label, if this works the way I think it does, we'll be able to access this score label and change its text, and hopefully its text repaints every time it's changed, but we'll take this one step at a time. So we're going to create a new method called updateScoreLabel. So after all these classes, we will add a public void update score. And then we'll have the score label dot set text HTML score colon BR plus game dot get score plus ending the HTML tag. And now what we need to do is place that every time we push up or down. So add new number, check state print array. After the game board repaints itself, we will call update score in each key event. Now we'll save this file and let me try to compile it. Okay, so I thought I was recording and I wasn't. When I tested this, I realized that when it pushes right, it resets the score a little bit, so I have to put plus equals. I'd accidentally set the score to equal the new number that was added instead of adding that number to the score when I push right. So I'm going to double check push left here. Double check push down is correct, and push up is correct. So now that I believe I've addressed that, there's one more thing I also noticed when I was testing it. When we first start the game, it still sets as 524, so I'm going to start the current score at 0 when we launch the game. Now, with these two changes, I should be able to compile this and show that it's working correctly. Okay, it's all put into a jar now. Let's run it and see what happens. We see a score of 0, a 2, and a 1. Haven't made any combinations. Now when we go up, we should combine these two 2s to a 4, so our score should be a 4. And it's a 4. And it's acting correctly. So that was actually a really short episode. That was all we needed to do for this one. I'll go ahead and send this out as one episode, and in the next episode we'll take a look at this high score thing, and we'll save the high score to a local text file, and whenever at the end of a game the score is actually higher than the current highest score, we'll write that number to the text file so that across multiple uses it will have the correct high score. We'll worry about that in the next episode. This short little episode is good enough because it seems to be working. I'll play this out, and if there's any errors I'll come back and fix them in this episode. Otherwise, this is the end of episode 9.